name's Ian Guyjack and welcome to A Day in the Life of a Farrier. Today we'll be going to travelling around my local area of Lauder in the Scottish Borders. Follow me around doing my daily business of farriery, showing different aspects of the farrier world and shoeing horses. We're going to cover everything from your riding school horses through to the premium athletes of the eventing world, where we'll be undertaking some orthopedic type shoeing and covering a variety of skills throughout the day. So here we are at the first yard, which is Nenthorn Riding Stables. I come to this yard every week. They've got over 60 ponies, so coming in every week means I can take care of just a few each time I come in. I think we've got 2 ponies on the list today, so we'll get the gear out and we'll get started. So this is my anvil, like the one you saw in the workshop this morning. That's what I use to shape the shoes up, customise the shoes for the horse's foot. This is my floor box. Has all my individual hand tools on board. This is all my accessories of my grinder and drills, same as what we saw this morning. And this is the forge itself. And now we're ready for the first pony. Bring the pony out the stable, have a quick watch for soundness, make sure they're comfortable. See the yard's already very kindly cleaned out the feet. These are my nail pullers. I like to use these to pull each individual nail out on smaller ponies. And then we use the pull-offs to actually just leverage the shoe off. And that's the old shoe. Just taking all the excess mud and debris out. Quick clean. And then the pony's foot is just very similar to our fingernails. So it's just a case of trimming the excess growth. Just like a giant pair of nail clippers. So all this here is just like your toenail clipping. But obviously when we have the shoe on, it emits any wear on the ground. So this is why regular farrier care is important to maintain the balance and the health of the individual pony's foot. No, it doesn't hurt. Obviously, if I was to hold the hot shoe on the foot for too long, you'll get quite radiant heat transferring through. So it's a bit like if I touched it with my fingernail, it's not actually hurting, but if I was to hold my fingernail on, then obviously the heat would transfer or radiate through. And it's very similar to the ponies. Obviously they've got much thicker, denser fingernails or toenails, so it takes a little bit longer for the heat to radiate through. So all I'm doing with this shoe is trying to follow the peripheral shape of the foot. These are the nails. I'm just checking size. The idea of the horseshoe nails is you want a good fitting nail to keep the shoe nice and tight, but you don't want too large a nail that it possibly damages the hoof wall as you're nailing on. So the whole idea of fitting is fitting these nail holes to this white line area here. And if the nail, this is where you want the nail to enter the foot. If you enter it here, you're going to find blood. If you enter it here, you're more likely going to have horn breaking off the side. So even though we're using quite Iron Age tools, it's precision engineering to match this area to this area here. We're leaving here, we're heading about 20 minutes up the road to a yard where it's more of a professional event yard. so the more of the athlete version of the equine world, where we have one horse in particular, we'll put in almost orthopedic insert pads in on top of the shoes, so it's a different aspect of the shoeing world, a bit different from you going to your local sports shop to buy a simple pair of shoes or going to a custom bespoke pair of shoes being made. So this is where we'll follow on to the next yard. Here we are at the event yard, more of the professional type yard we're visiting today. This is Joe Paul, chartered physiotherapist who's with the ACPAC group, and we quite often team up or quite often have conversations about horses in terms of how they're going in their management process. Obviously I take care of their feet and their footfall and quite usable with a platform, whereas Joe obviously has a much more challenging task in taking care of the musculoskeletal area of the entire horse and getting it all working together smoothly. So yeah, the posture of the horse influences the stance of the horse, but as farriery and foot balance, we can influence the stance of the horse that then influence the posture of the horse. So this is why I'm a big fan of working together with physios, because together we can make a big difference if there is any underlying issues. Obviously management and maintenance is quite straightforward, but if there is performance shortfalls or lamenesses, then working together a little bit more, and the involvement of veterinarians as well is a crucial part. So this is where in these type of yards a teamwork approach is much more important on the management.
But I think it's interesting as well that we should work together, because if I change the way a horse moves, it's going to change the way the foot hits the ground, and vice versa. If Ian changes the way the foot hits the ground, it's going to change the way the horse moves. And if you're not collaborating and working together, then it can get a bit frustrating, because you suddenly go back and say, why isn't that farrier got that foot level? It's because I've changed the way the horse moves. It's nothing to do with the farrier, but if you don't communicate, it can all get a bit muddled and frustrating. So it's great to chat and sometimes meet up if horses are really quite challenging.
Basically, we are just watching the horse walk up and down. I'm just taking a quick video to play it back in slow motion for footfall. So yeah, this horse is an event horse, so it partakes in dressage, show jumping and the cross country. So just at the weekend he was probably covered about 3 or 4 miles over quite high cross country fences quite actively. So a bit like running a marathon with a few high fences inside to jump. So we're just checking his comfort level and soundness and his muscular alignment. Horses are very much like us humans and quite often left-handed or right-handed, so we'll naturally build up a favourite side. So muscularised, preferred going, they're always going to be stronger on one side than the other. So we as sort of professional people just try and keep everything optimal and well managed.
Really, we're just trying to get these movement patterns just right, so the joints move in the proper range, the whole horse then moves in the proper way, and he can work to strengthen these good patterns and hopefully get good performance.
So yeah, just to follow on from what we discussed at the top, this is just a wooden foot that I made myself. It's a good idea or a good way to show owners and for educational purposes the different varieties of shoes we have. So it just shows how the shoes can be applied in different manners. This is the actual a pad. This is what we'll be applying to the horse inside. So this goes on, just shows just a little bit extra support. Then we can go completely off record and add all sorts of, I call them orthopedic inserts. They all facilitate a different ground reaction force. So all horses, if they're lame or require different assistance or different help, then we can apply lots of different variations of shoes which can assist the horse into a higher level of activity, higher level of performance. And one of the latest ones we've gone is we started or not myself, but a company started 3D printing pads, and it's advanced so that these are actually just out, or not even out in the market yet, but these are the follow-on from that. These are injected molded. They give us a variety of bespoke orthopedic inserts, and these are fantastic sort of tool in my toolbox for helping these athlete type horses. So we'll go and get started. You saw me trimming the foot earlier, and to most it looks like it's just one big solid lump. So this hard outer layer is actually just a very, very thin layer encapsulating the bones inside. You can see this is the orthopedic pad that's already in place here, and it's just to add underneath. It just gives a little bit of extra cushioning and support and stability. And underneath the pad I put in, it's a silicone alginate, which is basically similar to dental impression material, and it's responsible for keeping the foot dry and healthy underneath the pad. You can see this pink stuff. This is that impression material. So that's just like, almost like the air bubbles you would have in your type of shoes. So that's very, very soft. Apply this on. Very rough manner. We get our pre-fitted shoe with the plastic pad. Then we shoe in place, squash it down, and all the excess generally comes out the back. And that's, to me, that's no different than us wearing one of those very comfortable fancy trainers with gel inserts in the sole. Quite often get asked, what's the point of these? What's the point of the grinder, the drill, all the little extras? And the way I explain to some of the clients or some to the people interested in is, if you have the basic shoe, you still got to fit it to the horse, and it's fitted very well, but it's like going into a high street store for a typical suit. It fits, and it fits well, but it's just a high street store. When you start adding adaptations such as this and the grinder, customizing the edges to suit the individual horse, in my opinion, it's more like going to Savile Row. It's customized to that individual horse. So therefore, when you've got a performance horse, that tiny, tiny little bit of positive influence can enhance the performance to get a better overall result for the horse and its chosen career path. So that's my take on it anyway. So now we're going to head off to Floors Castle, lovely castle in Kelso. We're going to go into the actual courtyard with the old stables and trim some of the old retired horses in there. So should be good. So here we are at the fantastic Floors Castle, lovely backdrop, doing some of these golden oldies, some retirement trims, just general taking care of the feet. Next we're off to another castle, Thirlson Castle, which is on my back door. So we'll head off there now. In the meanwhile, got to go and grab the children. So yes, here we are at the magnificent Thirlson Castle, as I said, in my back garden effectively. So very fortunate, very beautiful area. And yes, it's the last pony being trimmed of today. And these ponies are worth their weight in gold. So good for children to start with. You know, lovely, well-mannered, but it teaches children responsibility. You know, they've got management, feed, water, groom, take care of. So yeah, I'm a big fan of horses and ponies, and when they have a temperament like this little individual, it does make for these individuals something fun and exciting to look forward to. So yes, it's a starting point in the equine career. Okay, so we're going to shoot and we're going to go up, back up to the forge, and I've got a couple pairs of shoes to make up for tomorrow, so we'll get going and go and light the fire. So that concludes today's activity. Yeah, I hope that I've managed to show an insight into farriery, covering the spectrum that is from children's ponies right up to professional horses and everything in between. So hopefully, yeah, it's a little insight.